What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today I am very excited to bring you my full review of my Axial Shift. The Axial Shift has a 3.3 inch S35VN done in a clip point for this particular variant, 4.95 inch aluminum handles for an overall length with it extended of 8.19 inches. Closed, obviously, it would be that 4.95. Claimed weight is 3.5 ounces, and this is a made in the USA double action knife. Let's go ahead really quickly and check the weight on it, the claimed 3.5 ounces, see if that actually is true. I think I just said the weight wrong, but that's okay. We're going to find out. 3.7 ounces. What did I say that it was? 3.5, so coming at 3.7. Could be the difference between the clip point and the sheep's foot. They offer a sheep foot variant on this, and I'm not quite sure which one's being weighed in at 3.6 ounces. But very close, irregardless. That's very close. Let me go ahead and just do some comparison knives. Then we'll talk about the knife because I do not have anything that is comparable. This is my first OTF. First up for a size comparison is going to be the Spyderco Yojimbo 2. This is my DLT trading exclusive done with the 20 CV blade. And then next up is going to be my Spyderco Shaman. This one here has the S30V blade. That's 20 CV. I'm not sure what I just said. I can't even remember. Awful. But as you can see here, this is kind of in between. I'd lined them up where I think the pivot would be, but let me just do them edge to edge. That way you can hopefully get a sense of how these line up, and you're gonna have to take my word for it because I'm standing over top of the knives. And you can see here kind of in between, a little bit longer than the Yojimbo 2 and just a bit shorter, just a bit outside.
Vaughn into the windup in his first offering, just a bit outside,
just a bit shorter than the whoops, wrong slide, the Spyderco Shaman. Let's go ahead and bring out the crossbar locks. First up, the Benchmade bug out with the Flytanium scales. Let me do from top to bottom since there really technically is not a pivot. And then we'll bring out the SIG K320 made by Hogue. Trying to make sure I line those up. So you can see here, this is actually longer than both of these knives overall when it's deployed. We'll go ahead and put the crossbar locks away and go ahead and bring out the budget comparison knives. First up is going to be the QB Royal. This one here is a sub 3-inch blade. And we're gonna go ahead and bring out the Sirius, which I got for $55. So really these are both in that $50 price point range, but I wanted something that was kind of comparable in length so you could get an idea, because this one here is definitely a longer carry, over 8 inches for both of these. So you can get a real sense here of how long it is with it extended, but of course you're going to be carrying it like this. All right, let me go ahead and give you my thoughts on this particular OTF. Being that I have no point of reference, everything I'm going to talk about is just what I've experienced with this particular knife to give you my thoughts and impressions. I really like the finish. I love the fact that this is a $200 OTF made in the USA. It does have a reversible deep carry pocket clip. I know that it doesn't look like it, but once it's actually in pocket, it leaves very, very little out of the pocket, especially if you're in a set of jeans where it's contoured. Seems to sit like that in my pocket. I like this pocket clip. It works really well. Really nice access, very low profile, and it does not impede or impact the grip on the knife. I really like the ergos on this. It feels very comfortable in hand. The finish on the aluminum handle is very tacky. I know it's probably going to be really hard to pick up on it, but it almost feels like it has like a rough textured finish, like maybe they sandblasted the aluminum rough and then coated it, and then whatever they coated it with has like that tackiness to it. It's like a grippy texture. Very minimal hardware. There is nothing on the show side. I'm calling it the show side because it's opposite of the pocket clip. And then you only have the 5 hexel head screws on the non-show side. The actual trigger on here has a ton of grip, but after a little while, it kind of feels a little stabby, even though it's not really doing anything to I got to twist upside down to the thumb, but you can kind of see the tracks. It has a very heavy deployment. One of the things I worried about with an OTF is, would the trigger potentially be rubbed against going in and out of the pocket? And I can say definitively no. This has a ton of weight, a ton. So you can see, like, my finger doesn't have much weight going to it, and you can see the weight increasing as I try to get to the edge to where it actually deploys. It has a very heavy deployment. It has to be deployed with intent. So that makes me feel really good about the fact that it's in the knife. And the same thing to retract it. It's not going to accidentally go in by itself. If you're using it or rubber it against it, if you wanted to, you know, choke up on it, it's not going to go anywhere on you. So really like the fact that it has such a heavy trigger. As far as how hard it hits, it was a little surprising at first, but I think it's louder than it is with the impact of the deployment and withdrawal. Not to say that you don't feel it. You definitely feel it. Let me see. I'm going to try as safely as I can to hold it loose to see how much movement you might see with it coming in and out. So let me see. I'm resting against my knife case. Maybe you can see it in my thumb, like right in here. You can watch. So not a lot. It's not jumping a lot. So I really do like that. And again, plenty of texturing to grip onto, but you can feel it after a little while on the thumb. I can't really get a good angle to kind of show you, and you're really not seeing it, and my fingers are dirty because I've been working on stuff in the garage before I decided to break down and film this. But really satisfying. The sounds are great. Really like the sounds on that, and I guess it doesn't help that I'm feeling that on the thumb because of the way that I'm rocking on the trigger. Does it have rock? Yes. Is that common? From what I'm seeing, it is. It's common for it to have some rocking to it, but I don't know how much is common. So those of you who are familiar with OTFs or that might be researching this versus like a Microtech, you'll have to tell me because I don't have any experience one way or the other. Let me see if I can show it to you without talking and you can listen. Is that a lot of rock? Side to side? Side to side is not nearly as much as up and down. Up and down has more. Oop, I guess it might help if you could see it. Than it does side to side. But I've been opening boxes and I broke down a cardboard box with it the other day. Really happy with their S35EN, and I don't feel it moving around when I go to use it. I guess because it's locked in until you get to the end of the cut. I know it has to have some tolerance there. It doesn't look like it has a whole lot. But you'll have to, again, let me know what you think from a tolerance perspective, because this is my first OTF. I think it's a great price. I think I like the fact, if I look at the basics, right? For $200, you're getting an automatic OTF. You're getting S35EN that has been stone washed. It has a really nice finish in my opinion. The aluminum scales are done really well and the texturing is done really well. Very hard to see the seams between the two parts. It's very tight with minimal gaps. Some spots close to other areas have more gap than others. But overall, I think it's really well made. And, you know, I can recommend it if you're looking for something on a budget where you want to try to experience an OTF to see if you'd like it. This is definitely something that I could recommend. Where I think it's applicable, I don't think it's a tactical thing. I can see this. So my stepfather has arthritis, and I can see trying to operate something like this or something with, you know, this is just not something that someone with arthritis in their hands is going to be able to comfortably operate. And you could say, you know, we'll get something with a nail nick or something that you can deploy without having to use So here's something with a fuller. This is the closest thing I have nearby with a nail nick where you can open and close it like this. Well, you still have to get the arthritic hand down into the liner lock. And you could say a lockback. Again, you got to be able to operate the lockback and break it down. And when you have arthritic hands, some days are better than others, but it could be worse. I would say that you still have the muscle strength in here, just discomfort in the joints to operate something like this. So I think these do have a place. I think any laws that are out there are very outdated when it comes to having automatics and OTF. That's just a means of conveniently deploying the device. I equate it as basically as an automatic vehicle versus a manual, okay? And hear me out on that. On a manual vehicle, you have to really enjoy driving a manual, and you have to know how to drive it, and you gotta drive it every day and not get sick of having to shift gears, even if you're in stop and go traffic. That's what I equate this to, having an automatic deployed blade as having an automatic vehicle where you just don't have to really think about, do you have a liner lock? Do you have a compression lock? Do you have a crossbar lock? How do you deploy it? Did you disengage it properly? Didn't you? This is going to give you both the audible and the feel of knowing that you have deployed it and retired it into the closed position. So I think laws out there are just really misrepresented. I think it's because Hollywood, I think they think bad guys look cool with automatic weapons, and because lawmakers and people that are just not familiar with these tools and who never have worked with these tools, let's just be honest, there's probably not 10% of politicians out there that have ever had to use a knife outside of cutting their meal, that are just not familiar with the tool, have made decisions on laws around these tools that are used by American citizens or Americans in general, or people in general. I mean, it might not even be in America where this is outlawed, and it's ridiculous. It's just a silly thing. It's a matter of convenience. So I think it's really dumb and really crappy, and this is coming from a guy that is just picking up his first OTF, but I have known before doing this review on the Axial Shift that this was a law that was out there that I felt was just dumb. It's a really silly thing, and again, it is just a matter of convenience of how the tool is deployed to use it. Having said that, can I recommend this knife? Absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, I will have it in for my long term. I'll give you an update at 6 months, 12 months. And then if I encounter any issues, if I have to send it in for warranty, I will share that information with you as a consumer that might be interested in this tool to want to know how all of that has went. Matter of fact, right now I'm waiting for Benchmade and for Civivi to send something back in for warranty, and I will share all of that with you who are interested in those particular tools to understand what happens if you pick up one that happens to fail. It happens to all manufacturers, happens to Toyota, who has to do recalls. So it's a nature of the beast when you're in a production world. You get things that aren't QC'd before they're shipped out, or maybe they don't have the proper testing process, or maybe it tested well and failed later. That's just the nature of the beast. So how do they back it up with their warranty process? I think that's why it's important to share that on my channel. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please do me a favor, leave a like. It really does help me out with the YouTube algorithm. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing. I'd love to have you follow along. Thanks to all of you out there who are already supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. You guys are awesome. I just appreciate you so much. I hope all of you have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.